Thank you. As a former Falmouth High School principal, it's my honour to say a few words of introduction and welcome to Falmouth High School's Veterans Day Assembly. We gather on this day to honour our fellow citizens who served in the defence and protection of our community. And as a first step in that process, it makes sense to draw back to the origins of this ritual. The origins of this date go back to the meeting of November 11th, or more poignantly, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, in 1918, when an armistice finally fell across the fields of France. And what was soon after by custom known as Armistice Day became in 1954 Veterans Day. And in that year, President Harry Truman, by proclamation, named this day Veterans Day and did so to appropriately recognise the years between 1918 and 1954, when the United States had been involved in two other great military conflicts, and the need to expand the meaning of this solemn date. And we expand this meaning every year as successive generations of our community choose a path of military service. And Truman, in his 1954 proclamation, gave us pause, today as he did then, to remind us of the depth of that service. Truman's words in part: in order that a grateful nation might pay appropriate homage to the veterans of all its wars, who have contributed so much to the preservation of this nation, let us solemnly remember the sacrifice of all those who fought so valiantly, on the seas, in the air, and on foreign shores, to preserve our heritage of freedom. And let us reconsecrate ourselves to the task of promoting an enduring peace, so that their efforts shall not have been in vain. And what Truman drew out was that arc from conflict to peace, and that the need on this day first is to bear witness to those whose sacrifice was the loss of their life in the preservation of our freedom. This time granted to this reflection is honourable, is necessary, is essential, because our today includes absent friends and absent colleagues and absent family members who were lost in that conflict. And aptly we can rely on a poet, Robert Lawrence Binion, who wrote these words at the beginning of World War I. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. And we should, we must take time each year to remember on occasions like these the sacrifice of our fellow citizens whose lives were lost in conflict. We will remember them. And we must also, as Truman noted, use this day to reconsecrate ourselves to the task of promoting an enduring peace, so that their efforts shall not have been in vain. To beat swords into plowshares is the second half of that arc from conflict to peace, what the veterans we honour today shouldered, what our fellow citizens in arms each day continue to shoulder every day they serve, to bring us closer to an enduring peace. And in thinking about the meaning of that conflict and peace and the responsibility that lies on all of us as citizens, to remember, honour, and reconsecrate, perhaps the words of another president will form an apt coda. In one of his earliest fireside chats in 1942, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt spoke on the theme of sacrifice and the example being set by our armed forces in World War II. Our soldiers and sailors, he said, are members of well-disciplined units, but they are still and forever individuals, free individuals. They are farmers and workers, businessmen, professional men, artists, clerks. They are the United States of America. That is why we fight. We too are the United States of America. And that is why we honour this day, for the veterans who transformed from farmers and workers, businessmen and artists and clerks into soldiers and sailors and Marines and Air Force and Coast Guard, and then back again into farmers and workers, but did so in peace. They are an example, the best example, of the transformative power of individual citizens who serve something larger than themselves, and in so doing set a path for us to follow. They are the United States of America. We too are the United States of America. Thank you all for being here today to remember and to celebrate that simple truth about who we are and why we have Veterans Day. Thank you.